Hey guys, welcome back to the Hat House. Appreciate you tuning back in. Kind of live on location today. We're getting ready to head out to the post office, but I wanted to give you some info about today's sales video. Today we got some great hats going out. We had a Wu-Tang hat that was really awesome. It was the only one that I could find on the market. It's going out, sold for a really great price. And then also the combined orders started doing really well over the last couple of days. We had several combined orders that are going out, which is really great to see because it always helps to save money on shipping, helps our profitability out. So all those things were really positive, but today was kind of a slow sales day for us. So we didn't have much shipping to do, so we're going to go out into the wild. Okay, so I did have to interrupt the video right here because while we were out in the wild, we happened to be going by one of the local collision repair businesses. I thought it was pretty funny. The gentleman in the green is very aggravated with the gentleman in the black that appears to be the manager. He wouldn't give him the keys to his car. It had a light on or something about liability. So what did I do? I had to grab the GoPro and see what was going on. Ended up not coming to fisticuffs, but one guy telling the other guy to shut up, and I never heard the verbal threat, but supposedly the guy in the green says he verbally threatens him. Thought it was all pretty funny after I made going out into the wild, but here you go. I just thought you might enjoy this and actually seeing what's going on in our day-to-day.
Give us the key. What are you talking for? Why are you still talking?
And we're going to see what we can maybe find out at our local thrift store, Goodwill. We go out about once a week and see what we can find, especially on the clothing side. But we're going to do that today. And also, one last thing that I did want to let you know, in the video, I do talk about how you can get a sticker. We do have some Hat House stickers that we had made up, and we're going to show you how you can get one of those and what you need to do to be able to get me to send you one of those. Appreciate all the new subscribers that have joined us. We're up to 1,600. I can't thank you enough for liking every video, commenting on every video, and subscribing to our channel. It really means a lot to me. It means a lot to Mary, and really enjoy doing this and really enjoy bringing you all along for the ride. So let's get to the garage and see what's sold. All right, first in this batch was a really great Coors Light corduroy hat. This one went out for $23. So it got the rope on it, nice embroidered. It's vintage. It's on the AMA Pro tag. Nice vintage hat right here. Next up, I just called it the Bomb hat. It didn't really have any, I couldn't figure out what logo this may have been or company. It was on the New Era though. Snapback, the Bomb. It went for $10. Next up was this Sacramento Kings. It went for $16. It was in really good shape. Snapback, Mitchell and Ness, kind of the wool blend. Mitchell and Ness snapback. Next up was an Adidas dad hat. This one went for $10. Just a blue strap back with this is a trefoil logo. Next up was an Eddie Bauer. This one was really good condition, but it only went for $9. It was really clean. Nice wool hat. I thought it would go for more, but happy it's going out. Next up was this crown cap, and it looks kind of like the Stormy Cromer caps. Had the tie in the front. This one went for $20. I called it like a Southwestern print. It was a really cool print. And these crown caps are well made too. They're nice hats. It was lined, insulated, nice winter hat. Next up was a vintage American Coach. Went for $7. Just an older vintage hat. Next up was a REI Co-op. Went for about $10. Snapback, blue, had the patch on it. Pretty clean. All right, next up we had a Kevin Mitchell hat. And I believe he played for the San Francisco Giants. Snapback. This one was made by AJD. It went for, what was it, Mary?
About $19. He played for the San Francisco Giants as well as many other teams. But with the Giants, he won Most Valuable Player in 1989. So
there you go. Well, I just remember like his rookie card was like really hot, and then everybody rushed out to get his rookie card, and then he never really did anything again. But I'm not the biggest baseball aficionado, so I may not be 100% accurate on that, but nice hat. Next up was a Super Bowl XLVII, which is, I don't know, what is that? I.
I don't know.
48? Is that 48?
Read it off again.
Do we have any Romans? Any
VL.
Romans in here that can decipher XLVII? Because the X in front of the L is 50, right? And then the X in front of the L means minus that. I think. Because the X is 10. Well, it was... I don't know. Super Bowl XLVII.
Is there one I or two I or three I's?
There's 3 I's.
Yes. It's 48.
Well,
It was between the Broncos and Seahawks.
Broncos and Seahawks, 48. I don't know Roman numerals, I guess, as good as I thought I did. Next one up was this Woolrich. I think they got a good deal on this one, too. It went for $12. It had the ear flaps. Nice little winter cap here with the big patch of Woolrich on it. Nice, well-made winter hat. Next up was the Chicago Cubs World Series 2016. This went out for $12. And when they're strapped back like this and the Velcro that you can't say on eBay, when they're like that, usually they just go for a little bit less. They're usually not as well-made hat. So I usually pass on most of the Velcro hats that I see, unless it's really good here like this Chicago Cubs World Series. Next up was a Vans off-the-wall strap-back hat. It went out for $11. It came pretty clean. Had a nice little patch on it. Next up was a vintage John Deere. It went out for like $16. It was Louisville Manufacturing, which is a decent vintage brand. It's not quite the K Products quality you would rather have. This was clean. All the foam was cleaned out of it, but still went for $16. Last up was a vintage San Francisco 49ers snapback hat. It was just kind of rough shape. Maybe we should have ran this one through our steamer. It might have increased the value a little bit, but we didn't. We sold it for $15. All right, we got that batch packaged up, and then after we did those hats, we decided to go ahead and make sure we got all the free hats packed up, and we're getting them sent out, so we should be caught up on those. Make sure you've checked your email if I've emailed you back asking for your address or which hat you want. So we do have several different styles. You can look at the different styles on the video that has where you can get your free hat. But if you haven't emailed me back, make sure you do that so we can get it sent out to you. And then we're also going to go to Mary. She had a question for us.
Yes. Ron Ruddock 4300 put, great content. Please cover your process on sourcing hats. I am interested in building inventory, but cannot find quality hats at low enough prices to resell to make profit.
I wonder why I picked this question, but I do appreciate the kind words. They can mean everything, especially on a day that's not going so hot. But how do we get hats? I did cover that in a video, and I will put the link to that up here. But really, the way that I started was ordering hats from eBay. I went through the lots on eBay. There's tons and tons of lots on eBay, and just getting familiar with which ones to buy and start buying those hat lots, getting hats for $2 or $3 a piece and being able to sell them for $10 to $20. And it was just kind of building on that. It can be risky doing it that way. I mean, sometimes you will run into not honest sellers and you get a bad lot of hats, or you just hadn't done your research and you buy some hats and they're not going to sell. So research is the key, but I use eBay to flip. I still use eBay to flip. In that video that I'm going to show you, it basically shows you the steps that I take on how I have saved searches set up for hat lots, and then how I can bid on those using a bid sniper. So that's really my process. And then once you start buying hats around locally and you get to know people and you get known as the person that buys hats, sometimes they just start coming to you, and they know that he's going to buy them all and he can sell them. All right, guys, let's see what's going out in this bunch. First, I think one of our viewers spoke this into existence, so thank you so much for all the questions you asked. We sold 5 Army caps, women's style Army cadet hats. These went out for around $44. Somebody asked me about these types of caps the other day, and then boom, we sold 5 of them. If it happened to be the viewer that bought them, let me know. I really appreciate it. But I don't think that it was, and these were all going out for $44. One other thing that I wanted to show you was, it's in my how to box hat video, but this is the size box that I use. It is a 10 by 8 by 6. Whenever I have like multi-orders like this going out, they fit really well in here. Next up, going out for $10 was this Desert Storm with the sand camo snapback, and there's the vintage tag. Next up, going out for $7 was this New England Patriots, kind of a dad hat. It was a Reeboks Flex Fit, one size. Nice hat, good deal for $7. Next up, going out for $6, they got basically a brand new era Denver Broncos hat. Guess it was small, medium. Sometimes these are a little tougher sell. But had this one for a while, it got marked down. Somebody got a great deal, $6 on this Broncos hat. All right, next up was another combined order. We had an Under Armour Flex Fit hat with the American flag logo, and then a Chicago Cubs. This was a really nice hat too. Nike strapback, Chicago Cubs, and an Under Armour hat. Going out together for like $26. And in my store, I do the combined shipping. It's just $1 for every extra item. So I charge $5.95 for the shipping, and if you order another hat, then it's only $6.95. Then you go to $7.95, $8.95, and so on. And if they end up buying like 10 or more hats, then it's best just to reach out to me, and then I can kind of work out the deal there. But for 5 or 6 hats, it usually works out to around even. So it's usually a good deal for both of us if you combine the orders. Next up was another combined order for $25. We had 2 Mickey hats, a really cool Mickey 5-panel hat here, snapback, and then a fleece Mickey Mouse hat that kind of had the ear flaps on it. And the Flex Fit, 2 cool Mickey hats, $25 combined. What a great deal. And another combined order, which is awesome. Good weekend for multiple shoppers. I really appreciate it. We got a Dallas Cowboys fitted and then a Los Angeles Dodgers fitted. This one had the World Series side patch on it. Really cool hat. They were 7 1/4 and 7 1/8. They were different sizes, so I'm hoping they don't have a problem with them fitting. But they got a good deal on them either way. Next up was a great sale. This was a vintage HS-3, I think, Tridents. It was like a 60s hat, and I don't even know exactly what the size was. I just gave them a pretty approximate size. I tried it on. I think I said it was around a 7 1/8. But this is a nice wool. It's got the leather sweatband in here. And I don't remember exactly. Something about the Navy. What was the HS-3 Tridents? Can you look that up, Mary?
It was the Helicopter Anti-Submarine Squadron 3.
Yeah, I would have never known that. I had to do the research on Google. Figured out exactly what it was. Of course, put that in the listing, that it was Navy, and just kind of knowing that this is an awesome hat, an awesome piece of history. Somebody would love to give this as a gift to somebody for Christmas, and I knew that I had the only one. Actually, I had 2 HS-3 Tridents, but I knew that it was really rare and it really good price, and it is a cool hat. So appreciate that sale. Next up was a Seattle Seahawks Reebok Flex Fitted hat. Next up was another combined order, and I went on a drought. It seemed like for a month where we hardly had any combined orders last month, but they're finally picking back up. That's really good news. Save a lot of money on shipping, and it just increases the profitability, and then helps the buyer out too for saving money on shipping. But these were both Southern Hills golf hats, PGA Southern Hills. We live pretty close to Southern Hills here, and happened to find these out and about. But these went for $26. 2 Southern Hills PGA PGA hats going out, 26 bucks. Next up was an REI panel hat. This one went out for $12. Just a brown, regular, lightweight strap back hat. Next up was a Tennessee Volunteers hat. This one went out for around $6. The awesome thing about it came from a viewer, sent me a message. So really appreciate that. And an announcement that we have is we're going to start sending stickers with anything that you happen to buy in our store. If you happen to come over from the YouTube side and you find a hat that you like and you buy it, let me know on the message at checkout. Please don't try to send like an extra message. Send that message at checkout so Mary will see that it needs a sticker and she can let me know. And then let me know to shout it out on the video as well. So we really appreciate that. We got our new stickers in. Let me know at checkout if you watch our YouTube, and we'll get you a sticker sent out. Appreciate you guys. Next up was a vintage New England Patriots. Pretty cool hat right here. $13 for a vintage snapback New England Patriots. Good price on it too. They got a pretty good deal. There's just kind of this game day brand. Doesn't do the best, but nice tool hat. Next up was a FMF Racing camouflage hat right here. I think it went for like $9. It was a flex fit. Just kind of somebody put their logo on this hat. Still a nice camo hat. Next up was a Brixton hat with a round circle logo on it. Snapback, regular Brixton. Went out for $10. Next up was a Team Realtree Blaze Orange with the camo on it. This one went out for like $5. Just a strap back hat. Next up was a CFI trucker hat. This one went out for like $5 too. Just a strap back, probably mid-90s with the rope on it. Next up was a Tommy Hilfiger hat. Just a strap back Tommy Hilfiger. This one was like nylon though, kind of lightweight hat. Dad hat. Next up was a Dutch Lubricants trucker hat with the rope on it. Snapback. It's on the vintage kind of Cobra tag. Had this hat for a while. Appreciate you buying this one. Next up was a Carhartt. Kind of had the ponytail hole strap back on the back. Women's camo Carhartt. Went out for like $8. Next up was a Miami Hurricane. This one went out for like $7 as well. Kind of had a suede bill. It was a pretty cool hat. It was clean too. I got a pretty good deal on this one for $7. Next up was this 5-panel hat, and it said Kaiser Permanent on it. Not really sure what brand that is or company may have put it on there, but like I've said, the 5-panel hats, if they're clean, in good condition, they will sell pretty quickly, no matter what they say on them. But maybe somebody knew what that was. If you know, let us know. Next up was Oakland Raiders strapback, or Las Vegas Raiders, whichever Raiders version this is. Went out for like, had playoffs on it, so I don't think that's the Vegas Raiders. But it was a strapback, went out for like $8. New era. Next up was a vintage San Francisco Giants. This was on the Twins Enterprise tag, but it did say small on it. So it went for a little less, around $12. Next up was an Oklahoma City Thunder hats. Just a 3930, went out for $6. Thunder gear is not the hottest gear, but glad to get this one out of here. Next up was a Seattle Seahawks New Era fitted. This one went out for $16. It was a good size 7.5. Had the cool underbrim, the big logo on the front. Really nice hat. Next up was a Huff hat. Had the marijuana leaves all over it and then the patch on the front. Snapback Huff hat, went out for $11. Next up was a Champion hat, just a Champion Dad hat. This was black, strap back, Champion Dad. Next up was this Vans Anti-Hero hat, and it's kind of made like those Stormy Chromers I've shown you before. It had the tie on the front. The bad thing about this one was it had the Vans logo right here. The tags were like cut out, so I didn't know exactly what size it was, so I tried it on. I'm a 7.5, fit me well, so I was able to size it that way. Let the buyer know, but sometimes it's just a tough sell when the size isn't in there and the buyer is not 100% sure. So this one only went out for like $11. Next up was a Nike golf hat. Went out for $15. It was the Flex Fit, kind of an older Nike golf hat. Had the Nike One on the side. Flex Fit hat. Next up was a Seattle Mariners. This is a franchise fitted, so it has the size on the inside. A lot of people really love these hats and collect these. This one went for $15. And sometimes it's tough to find the size and color that you want. This was a medium Seattle Mariners franchise perfect fitted. Next up was a USA Swimming official vintage hat. It went out for $15. It was a strap back, really clean, nice Olympic hat. Next up was a really cool vintage hat. It went out for $23, and it was Caesar's Palace Grand Prix, the race. I guess they have a race there in Las Vegas, an F1 race. It had the nice big patch on it, had this golden scrambled egg leaf on it. Cool vintage hat. Next up was the Chicago Bulls splash hat. This one was Mitchell & Ness. You're really looking for the Sports Specialties logo athletic, I believe, and the splash in the paint is where the big money is. This is kind of a remake by Mitchell & Ness. This went out for $18. Next up was this grease hat. It was in our how to source hat video where we bought this hat on eBay, flipped it back to eBay, sold for like $16. We paid about $3 a piece for these hats, and then flipped them back onto eBay. This one was really cool. Had the, is that the Parthenon? The Greek Parthenon?
It says the Parthenon. I don't know what you want me to say.
Next up was this vintage Grumpy hat. Had the Grumpy spell out on it, Grumpy on the side, by the Goofy Hat Company. Tag was made in USA too. So this was a little vintage, older Disney Grumpy hat. $16. All right, next up was this Browning hat. It went out for $5. Nice little hunting hat, strap back, Browning. All right, next up was this Patagonia. It went out for $10. And it had this kind of fading on it. Wasn't in the best condition. The shape was really good, but just had a little fading. Snapback. Next up was the Miami Hurricanes. Went out for like $7.50. It was just a strap back, regular Miami Hurricane hat. Next up was this Oakland A's fitted. I don't know how well you can see it. It just had some staining on the bill. It was a good size, 7 1/8, but it also had some embroidery, somebody else's name on the back. All these things really bring down the value. And it went out for like $10. Next up was this neat little Oklahoma State. It's had love on it. And then Oklahoma State Cowboys strap back. Went out for like $12.50. It's a little different hat that you see from 47 brand. Cool hat. Next up was this Portland Pickles baseball minor league hat. It went out for how much?
$10.
$10. Strap back, Portland Pickles, new era. Next up was this vintage Budweiser hat. It went out for $12. It was a nice camo, just kind of faded snapback. I'm sure this is replacing somebody's old hat. Glad I could get it to him. Next up was a great hat. This was a Nike Jumpman Jordan hat. Snapback, kind of this teal greenish color. Went out for $25. Really good hat right here. Next up was this Wu-Tang hat, and this is kind of a pricing lesson. It went for $48, almost $50. There are a ton of Wu-Tang hats on the market. Most of them were $20 hats. I looked for one like mine that had the rope and that had this Staten Island, New York, and I could not find it. I don't search forever. I couldn't find it on the first page. So if I can't find it on the first page, I'm not gonna dig too far. A lot of customers probably won't dig that far either. And getting lucky sometimes is better than being good. So I priced this for $48. It still is a really cool Wu-Tang hat. And I don't know if there's any more of them out there like that, but really good sell. Next up was a Salomon hat. They do like ski equipment and stuff. I couldn't find one like this either. It went out for $20. It was just a snapback, new era. Really cool hat, had the big logo on it. Yeah. Next up was this Atlanta Braves. It went out for $23. It was 7 5/8, great size. Everybody's looking for 7 5/8. So we got to price that size up. This was just plain colors, but still had really good shape, really good size. Made it a $20 hat. Next up was the Montana Fish and Wildlife hat. I don't really put government agencies on eBay very much unless it's obviously really an older hat and it's vintage. you're usually okay, but just be careful about the Veros. And I do not put anything that says like police or FBI or something crazy like CIA or anything like that. I don't put those types of hats on there, but these obviously old parks and recreation hats, I never had an issue with. But this one was really cool. $28, strap back, vintage Montana Fish and Wildlife. Next up was just a Nike Featherlight hat. It was green, strap back. It went out for 15 bucks. Really, the cool colors do well. All right, next up was a Poshmark sale. I really accepted this one because I've had most of these hats for a while. They all went out for 40 bucks on Poshmark. I had a, what is this?
It's Mario Brothers, I think.
Super Mario, yeah. Get a Life Super Mario hat. Then we had a couple of Carhartt snapback hats. A gray and a black one. Then we had a nice Jordan hat, which I think was mainly the bulk of the order. And a KD hat, which sometimes you can't give away Kevin Durant stuff. But good news, all that's going out on Poshmark, 40 bucks.
There's a wasp on that hat up there. Sorry, that's what he was after.